Ladies and gentlemen, let's get into the video. Let us discuss console exclusives and the Xbox One. So, Phil Spencer has been recently saying that console exclusives are going to remain an integral part of the Xbox's strategy. In fact, he used the word bedrock, and the bedrock of the Xbox. Now, he actually highlighted that E3, this E3 primarily, is going to be important for us to show gamers our future plans for exclusives and third-party support. And he also reiterated that E3 2014's presentation is going to be all about the games. Right now we have a strong lineup of development exclusives, including games like Sunset Overdrive, Project Spark, Quantum Break, and Halo, in addition to some exciting titles you'll hear more about in E3. Obviously, they are being somewhat tight-lipped, but we do know that Microsoft do have several titles in the works that they haven't obviously announced yet. And indeed, in June 10 to June 12, according to Phil Spencer, it says it's going to be great at E3 to be able to share the games coming exclusively to the Xbox One, and it's going to only get better. Now, I'm sure many of you will attest to watching E3 2013, which is almost a year ago now. I don't know how times flew so fast, but whatever. And if you were like me, eagerly watching the stream, you probably were in one of two groups. You were either, yay, this is the best thing ever, or more likely you were like, what the hell, where are the games? And a lot of people fell in the second group. A lot of people were disappointed in the stream. It's not that Microsoft necessarily didn't give us as many games as what we had expected, you know, not necessarily even the gameplay. It wasn't even the fact that the specs were somewhat glazed over for the hardware. It's just that there was so much focus on the Kinect, so much focus on things such as TV. Many people just was like, well, we want the games, and they were just very disappointed. I mean, I remember people absolutely raging in the stream chat at the time, and indeed, if you were to go to the official announcements, or you to actually look at the comments back on YouTube, if you've seen the archive footage of this, you could see the rage from people. And indeed, most of the archives of this have considerably more downvotes and upvotes. So it's just one of those things where Microsoft know they have to get this right. There are a lot of people who are concerned about the Xbox One in terms of the games, and I don't think that Microsoft are going to be doing shabby this E3. I think that both companies are going to be doing really well. Obviously, Microsoft have their exclusives, and we're also going to be seeing, no doubt, titles from Nintendo, titles from Sony. But many would argue that the Xbox 360 didn't do as well as maybe it should have in the last year or 2 years of its life as like the forerunner. And I think that the PlayStation 3 definitely started to make up a little bit of ground in terms of the exclusives. The 360, it started off really strong, but the last like year or two, I think the PlayStation 3 did somewhat start pipping it to their post. Not necessarily in terms of the quality of games, so in other words, one game versus another, but in terms of the quantity that was released in terms of exclusives. And obviously Microsoft don't want that situation again, because they've been accused several times over in both press, the public, and even other developers. You know what? Too much TV, not enough focus on games, and so on. That's not to say that Sony have been getting scot-free on this. There's been a lot of criticism aimed at the PlayStation Vita, for example, from Sony. And we all know the story of Nintendo. So I think that this E3, it's going to be, I will be honest with you, I think it's going to make the decision for a lot of people. Because I'll just be totally honest with you, I haven't got an Xbox One yet. I know a couple of people who have, and obviously they're doing some stuff for us on the channel. I just haven't gotten an Xbox One yet. Why? Well, a couple of reasons. One, I just don't have the time really to play it. And two, well, the PlayStation 4 has most of the games, and of course there's not that many exclusives on either platform, so it's like I bought the PS4 to cover the console games, and that's pretty much it. Now, for the E3, I will probably, if there's a good selection of games, I'll almost certainly buy the Xbox One instantly. It's not even going to be a question. I'll be honest though, if I hadn't have been doing RGT, as a PC gamer, right, as someone who primarily plays on PC, I probably wouldn't have bought a PS4 yet. If I had not been doing this channel, I probably would have waited until E3 2014. Why? Because there just wasn't that many really good exclusive games on either console at launch. I mean, there were some good ones, you know, Infamous Second Son, I enjoyed playing through it. Killzone, pretty good game. There's been some games that have been available on the PSN, like Resogun, really fun, might I add. There's been other titles like Outlast, but of course that's available on the PC anyway. So for me, titles like Infamous, they were really good, but I could have waited a couple of months for them. You know, I would have missed them, I would have wanted to play them, but at the same time I probably wouldn't necessarily have dropped out all that money for them. But at E3, you could definitely make a really good choice of the console, and I think Microsoft know that. Microsoft know that a lot of people, they're holding on to their PlayStation 3s, or their Xbox 360s, or they're a PC gamer and they've not decided which one, or they own a Wii U, or whatever their situation is, and they're saying, you know what, come E3, we're going to go one way or the other. And there are market analysts, market analysts that are saying, you know what, if Microsoft incur the wrath of Sony's price cut, in other words, if Sony do reduce the price, Microsoft could be in real trouble. On the other hand, the opposite could be true. Microsoft could unveil a killer lineup of games, and they have the talent, they have the capital, they have the finance, and they have the developers to do it. I'm not saying they will do it. That's the key. But they have the they have the technology to rebuild it, right? They have the funds and they have the technology. If you want to use the $6 million man, well, a variant of the $6 million man intro, they definitely have the ability to do it, and I think they can definitely start making people think, hey, you know what, the Xbox One, and alright, a lot of people are going to point out that the performance difference of the two machines. The PlayStation 4 obviously is definitely technically superior to the Xbox One. Some people are going to say, well, you know, it's only a little bit of difference in terms of resolution. Yeah, I've done graphics comparisons. I've looked at both. I have edited it. For example, Dave's Metal Gear Solid footage, he's got some on Dropbox right now, and I've been doing some editing of it and comparing it to PS4. It's definitely worse than the PS4. There's just no doubt about it. You know, certain games do look, I wouldn't say massively worse, but they do look worse. But for exclusives, that doesn't make a jot of a difference, and people will buy the bloody console regardless, because at the end of the day, you don't buy a console for the graphics. That's just how it is. You buy a console for the games, and you buy a console for the environment, because as I've said a billion times over, if you're buying a system for the graphics, you just buy a high spec or a reasonably spec PC because you're going to be better off. If you're buying a console, however, you buy it for the titles and the library that it offers. You buy it for all of the experience that, of course, it enjoys. Anyway, I think that's just about it for this particular video. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. I'll see you soon. Take care and bye for now.